Sorry, Simon, I forgot. We'll edit this out. I forgot what my last point was for a sec. What was it? It wasn't directly related to mental health. Yeah, that was it.
Talking. Cough.
This is welcome to this channel. Welcome to this interview. This is Simon Orr. Simon Orr does a lot of stuff. I think it's, how's it fair to describe you as a teacher, DJ, performing artist,
jack of all trades, master of none?
Yeah, all those things.
Always. Yeah.
Great stuff.
Busy doing a lot of management teaching. So teaching managers to pretend to be managers.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so today we're talking about mental health. Simon has some experience with this, his own unique take on it. So what is your own, experience just generally with mental health?
Well, up until meeting my current wife, not a lot. And then when I met Kerry, that's when I started to discover the different sides to mental health and the positives and the negatives and the good times and the bad times. And then other family members that sort of joined the family circle, dealing with challenges around their mental health, and then even our own children. We've got a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old that have different levels of mental health challenges, one being autism, which is obviously a whole different spectrum of mental health completely. But Kerry's diagnosed with bipolar, so that's been an interesting experience, which back then compared to now has been quite a big learning curve for myself and us as a family.
Cool. So talking about those, I mean, anything, but particularly though the autism and the bipolar you mentioned, are they formal diagnoses? Yeah.
Yeah, they are. We'll talk about.
So what was it like? The period before and leading up to those diagnoses when you perhaps didn't know what the issues were.
It was hard, mate. I'll be honest with you. It was really difficult. It was like living with somebody who had split personalities disorders. The slightest thing would switch from what would be a really good morning or good afternoon or good couple of hours to a period where it was as if all of a sudden you were living a different life. And there was times where life wasn't great and there was difficult challenges for us both, where tempers would just spiral out of control really quickly, and me not understanding would actually just throw fuel on the fire by taking it as a personal attack rather than trying to help the situation in some sort of way to bring that element that spiraled out of control quite quickly, bringing it back down to a point of calmness again. And even now I don't get it right. I get it wrong probably more times than I get it right, but not as wrong as probably what I used to do maybe 10 years ago.
Lovely. So did the diagnosis for both, did that help?
It did, and the medication that went with it. So for Kerry, she'd always suffered with depression. It got worse, and the bipolar was actually diagnosed after we had Bailey. He wasn't a very happy baby. There was always usual sort of baby issues that would, as the babies get older, they grow out of, but he never did, and he cried all day long. So while I was at work doing what I was doing, she was stuck in the same four walls with a crying baby all day long. That then developed to me doing really small things which I thought were helping, by me taking the other two children to school on the way to work, and also leaving work because of the job that I could do, to come home to pick the children up from school, so that Kerry didn't have to get the baby dressed, put him in the pushchair, go to school, thinking that was helping. That actually made the situation worse, because before you knew it, months had passed and she'd never left the house. Now, okay, that's something that we seem to be used to because of COVID lately, but back then, sort of 10 years ago, the thought of leaving the house, that actually created problems. Watching TV programs all day long, like at the time Jeremy Kyle and those sort of chat shows, just does nothing to stimulate your brain or anything like that. So yeah, she ended up I don't want to say forcing her to, but definitely persuading her quite strongly to go to the doctors. And at first the doctors just brushed it off, that didn't want to know. And then by being persistent, the doctor eventually gave in and went through the process, and the formal diagnosis for bipolar was made. And she went on medication. The medication at the time took a while to set in, and then she was on that medication for maybe 5 or 6 years. It helped, but then one day she just went, actually, she ended up opening the box and reading the side effects, and the side effects of the medications actually worried her more. So she weaned herself off the medication, and then looking at life goals, which she's achieved, and we can chat about that in a bit, actually helped that mental health issue by keeping herself busy.
Mm-hmm. So in her case then, would you say, because there's a lot of debate about medication, and I think it's different for everyone has to find their own thing. Do you think, it sounds like there was a bit of both, but do you think the medication was helpful, or do you think actually it turned out to be unhelpful then, she was better off it, or was it helpful at first but then good to get off it, sort of thing?
Yeah, it was a bit of both. So she also used to smoke. Being on the medication, the side effects were things like putting weight on. And Kerry's weight went from, when I met her, she was a size 8 to a size 10, and she put a lot of weight on. And it wasn't because of stuff that she was doing, it was actually one of the side effects from the medication. Not being able to sleep, insomnia being caused. So although the medication was sort of depressing and suppressing her feelings to stop the explosions happening, the side effects of weight gain and not being able to sleep were adding other issues onto it. And as soon as she stopped taking the medication, then because it took a while to wean out of the system, she'd learned to adapt a lot better with her own feelings. And one of the biggest achievements that Kerry did was one day she just went, I'm going to go to university. And she did. She went back to college. She did an access course. She enrolled onto a degree in psychology, because one of the things she was watching all day long was these crime programs about serial killers and things like that. So she wanted to learn about the forensic science and the psychology behind it and understand herself a lot more. So as you and I both know, when you're studying, that takes up so much of your time. So rather than sat there every single day watching rubbish TV, she had something to motivate towards, and she ended up finishing a degree with a first. She's gone on to do her master's, and now is working in education, doing something extremely similar to me. So lives a very, very busy lifestyle, which is keeping her mental health now in a better, healthier situation, because there's something to keep her brain active all day long.
Absolutely. There's a number of things there, isn't there? Because, it's quite well cited that keeping active, keeping busy is good for mental health, and obviously that seems to have proved to be the case there. Also, people should never talk themselves, if they're suffering with a mental health issue, should never talk themselves into thinking that's it, but, they've got to stay at home, they can't really do anything, because clearly, again, in this case, that's not the case at all. Kerry's doing some wonderful things. Also, not necessarily directly related to mental health. Sorry, Simon, I forgot. We'll edit this out. I forgot what my last point was for a sec. What was it? It wasn't directly related to mental health. Yeah, that was it. But also, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, if you've got an interest of any kind, pursue it. Yeah. It may turn out to be your life goal. But like you said there, just watching crime thrillers and things like that, and crime documentaries, as it were. I mean, if you're interested in that, you may think, well, there's nothing I can do with that other than sit and watch and enjoy these programs. Actually, have a little think. There's more you can do.
Yeah, and the thought of Kerry actually going to college, because she didn't get GCSEs when she was at school, so she had to resit her GCSEs before getting into university. So the thought of Kerry attending college and being around other people, it was a college that I used to work at, so we'd already done the drive to the building before, and then on enrolment day I went with her, I was still doing a bit of freelance there, so I still had my pass and walked around the college and showed her where the canteen was, because that would have been something that Kerry wouldn't have been able to do on her own. If you was to see her now, she's a totally different person. You know, she's in charge of, with her day job, she's in charge of a team of people. So where she was all those years ago, where she didn't have the confidence to go and meet new people and do something new, like walking into a college building with hundreds of other students. Now, although the anxiety and the nerves are still there, she just gets on and does it.
Excellent. Just a side comment as well. It's interesting, isn't it, that I feel like Kerry's found like a passion there. I feel like it's a shame that at school children aren't stopped quite regularly and just asked what things interest you, what are your passions, what are you not getting on with here, and try and hone those things. I feel at school that doesn't always happen unless the kid pursues it themselves or the parent pursues it themselves. And that's a shame, because there could be a lot of people out there with some great, interesting jobs who are probably sat at home because they believe they need to do one of the things that they were taught at school, and that's it.
Yeah, and you and I remember having the conversation with careers advisors, going, "What do you want to do?" and giving the answer, and them going, "Yeah, I don't think so. Go work somewhere." Yeah.
I doubt our careers advisor remembers or is watching. No offence, I guess they were trained the way they were, but our careers advisors were awful. Right. The one we both saw tried to talk us both out of what we wanted to do, I think, as I remember. Okay. And we both ignored it and went on and did it successfully. But yeah, anyway, that's a side track. So we've talked about your wife quite a bit and your family. And we talked a little bit about yourself and living with people. But how do you look after yourself? I assume, I might be wrong, I assume that there are some days, and certainly have been some days in the past, where people in your position must feel like, do you know what, today, you know, something happens, and you think today this is just not the right day for me.
Yeah, and that's true.
So what do you do in that situation, and how do you look after yourself more generally?
I mean, it's been difficult because of the situation that we find ourselves in with the economy. Of my way of dealing with mental health and keeping myself active and fit is going on stage and performing for that sort of hour and a half or however long it is that you're on stage. You can be whoever you want to be. You can't take your mobile on stage. You can't speak to anybody else while you're on stage. You are on stage and you are there to perform. And as Freddie Mercury once said, it's a show, it's an act. You can be whoever you want to be, but while that time is on stage, you can let all the feelings of excitement, of anger, however you want, out with the way that you act. The problems are still going to be there when you come back, but being on stage and taking yourself away from the world, because the world around you has to stop, also gives you time to remove yourself from a situation. And me and Kerry have had words before. We've had normal sort of marriage arguments and stuff before going on stage, and maybe the way that I would have responded if it would have carried on would have been different how I'd responded after. Now, because we aren't allowed to do that anymore because all the venues are currently closed, and for me, I do a little bit of work on a radio station. The music's always on, and just occasionally I have to shut the lid on my laptop and go, I'm not doing it. I know I've got targets to meet, but I just need to take a bit of time out. I go and walk the dog occasionally just to get a bit of fresh air. But yeah, it's not easy. And luckily, I'm the sort of person that has a bit of an attitude where I get up every day and every day is a new day. And whatever happened yesterday, do you know what? Don't worry about it. You can't fix what's in the past, fix what's moving forward. That is a frustration that Kerry finds with me, especially if we've had an argument the day before and I'll wake up the next day and pretend everything's okay. And she's not. She's still, sort of, we haven't fixed the issues from yesterday. But that to me is a way of my coping, and I've always been like that. I've changed the way that I deal with it with Kerry, and it might take a couple of days to go, we need to talk about what happened 2 days ago. And she's like, oh, now you want to talk about it, type of thing. But it fixes it, maybe not there and then, but a couple of days to think about, rather than, as I used to years ago, reacting straight away, and that reaction then creating further problems, and then that having a knock-on effect of how I felt, you know, and I said how the attack would feel towards me wasn't an attack at all, especially if you remove yourself from the situation for a little bit. So gigging would normally be the way that I'd remove myself, but at the moment it is just doing other little things around the house and keeping the music on, really. I can't wait to get back out on stage. Maybe help lose a bit of weight as well. We've all put on.
Desperately. But so that's interesting. So do you feel that, like, in an ideal situation, and this is a kind of fantasy situation, but a good way of dealing with mental health, whether it's in your own head or whether it's living alongside it, would the ideal situation be, 1, something happens, 2, you take a step back, 3, you immediately get on stage. Like I said, it's not practical, but immediately get on stage, do your hour's performance or whatever, and then stage 4 is you come back and you're like, right, now I am ready to deal with this.
Yeah, that in my world, that would be an ideal situation. I don't think I set a stage in my back garden. I don't think the neighbours would be too impressed if I did that all the time.
No.
But yeah, because I think a lot of the problems that me and Kerry have had in the past is to try and tackle that situation there and then. And if we both have a little bit of time apart, you can change the way that you would react to that and deal with that situation. And the resolution to whatever the problem would be would normally tend to be resolved in a better way than reacting there and then. And for me and Kerry in the past, reacting immediately didn't solve it. It created the situation worse.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good mental health. I don't always like the word tip because everything's different for everyone, but it's just a tip, I guess. It's a good mental health tip, that, because for you, the scenario we just described isn't always practical, but actually for a lot of people, that's your passion, performing. For other people, their passion might be gardening, walking, reading a book, listening to music, and you probably can do those things more easily. You can say, right, something's just happened, can't really deal with that right now, go and do this thing, and then after that you're probably more ready, you're more in a fit state of mind to deal with it.
I agree, and it's true, as you say, people can remove themselves from the situation just to go, and even if it's just 5 minutes, I'm just going to go to the shop and get a loaf of bread or something, just removing yourself from the situation gives you a bit of thinking time to come back and deal with a situation with a fresh mindset rather than doing it there. And one of the things that I struggled to deal with way back was how to react to Kerry's reactions to something. It could very quickly turn into a not a very healthy snowball effect, and spiral out of control very, very quickly. And for a little while, the relationship that we were in, and I'll use the word, was a little bit toxic. And we both had to say, something's not right here. What is going on? And broke down and where we were reacting, and me doing things wrong. I wasn't dealing with the way that she was, just because I didn't understand it. And I've actually, back then I signed up to a couple of bipolar Facebook pages, and although they wasn't very good in terms of what I was after for the information, did a lot of research, and nobody's a textbook. So although I'd read it and go, well, that paragraph there I can relate to Kerry, but the rest of the page has no relation to who she is as a person. Putting those little bits of the jigsaw puzzle together helped us massively.
That's good. So yeah, that is a good tip. There's been a few good tips in this discussion, actually. But do you have any others you think that perhaps you've not mentioned?
I think if you've got a family like we have with children, I think spending time with them, doing stuff that you wouldn't normally do. And what I mean by that is, we live with 3 boys, the youngest being 10. Their lives evolve around electronics, iPads, PlayStations, Xboxes, you name it. And we can go days without actually seeing them unless it's feeding time and they're online. Take them away from their consoles and go out and do something with them, or play a board game. I know board games these days tend to be slightly frowned upon, but actually brings a family together. And just the other day, just the weekend actually, out of nowhere, an unplanned Nerf war happened at home. Out of nowhere, one of the children got a Nerf gun, and before you know it, Kerry was on her belly, on the floor, waiting for him to come downstairs to shoot. That turned into 2 hours of activity that she was absolutely exhausted from after. But that was 2 hours that happened, that was unplanned, and brought the family time close together. And even now they're already talking about buying new Nerf guns to go to some sort of Nerf park when we can do that. So yeah, spending time with your family and doing stuff that doesn't involve sitting in front of an electronic device all day long.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for that.
Pleasure, mate.
And I hope people got something out of this. I'm sure you did. There was some good discussion there, some great tips hidden within there. So thank you very much, Simon. Thanks a lot.
Absolute pleasure.
Cool, mate.